What is up, guys? It's been a long weekend here in Chicago, Illinois. UFGT8 is finally in the books. We literally ran through the hotel looking for this man. I'm sitting next to MightyMar. I know you're tired. I know it's been exhausting, but how was your weekend?
Man, it was like one of the best weekends I've ever had, you know. It was fun meeting up with all my players and meeting a lot of new players and a lot of games, and I learned a lot. I had talks with a lot of players, DGV, a lot of players from a lot of games that I normally don't play, like Marvel and SF4. I chilled with a lot of players all across the country, and it's a great it's a great experience to learn from these players, and I encourage anybody to go to a tournament and learn from anybody from any game. You can always learn anything from any game, no matter what. And that's something that you should do.
Now, one of the other really cool things is that this is basically in your backyard, and you've been this weekend a champion for the Chicago scene. How did it feel? Did you feel like that was added pressure coming into the event, or did you feel like you had the support on your side being here locally?
Like being a local, I'm always going to have the support, and also playing a character who's fundamentally weaker than the other ones, you will get also a lot of support for playing that character. And this bracket was tough, by no means. I personally, I help out a lot with my tiny community, and the players, I help them, train no matter what. And I even help them, beat my character, because I feel like that if they're strong enough to beat me, I had to play, no matter what, I would have to play as best as I can to beat it in order to win. And it was by no means easy against any of these opponents. I had to, like, all my matches, they were, barely wins. I had to take a lot of risk in order to secure a victory, and it was a tough tournament. Every matchup was hard, and it made for an exciting tournament. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Very cool. Now you're actually wearing your first place medallion for Vampire Savior, and you speak about playing a lower tier character in the grand finals. You actually took out Flo. Tell us about that matchup.
Okay, so in that matchup, it's against a character named Sasquatch, and Sasquatch is quite possibly one of the greatest characters designs of all time. He has everything that you want in a character. He has overheads that are so fast that they're almost unseeable, and they can be repeated over and over, which is like really hard to deal with as a lower tier character, because my character cannot get out of these options because he doesn't have a throw to push him away, and he also doesn't have the system mechanics to deal with that. So, and he combined that with his amazing pokes, his amazing anti-air game, his command grab that leads into free damage, and his massive damage output. And I'm playing a character where my highest damage output is a overhead into a chain combo, and that's not a lot of damage. I have to basically win by, I would say, approximately 10 to 14 mix-ups, and his character can kill me if he gains a clean hit, a clean starter, can kill me in under 2. So to take out a health bar, a complete bat is what we call them, because it's like a live system. So it's tough, but I love that matchup. It's one of my favorite matchups in the game, because it's a test of, like keeping a character out completely and shutting him out. And that match, although it wasn't recorded, was my best set with Flo in that game. It was both of us adjusting a lot and counter adjusting constantly, and I had to keep everything within my power to not do certain things and hold it back and save it for the end game. And in the final game, I I saved consecutive overheads in a row to finish the job, and it's tough doing that because against a player like him, who can make mistakes, and his ability to read, and his ability to execute at that level, and him playing a very powerful character, it's tough. It's tough, but I'm very comfortable in the matchup, and I figured out a way to seal the deal, and I have a lot of respect for him as a player. No matter what, he took the time to play. He was trying to win the tournament, and I can respect the character. And in order for me to beat a player like that, I would have to learn everything I can to beat him. And it shows that as long as you take the time to study your matchup properly, you can beat even a great player such as Flo. But I still feel like if he tweaked the matchup a little bit more, I probably would have lost. And it's always in the back of your head. It's like I can lose at any time, but I'll keep on trying no matter what.
Now you mentioned actually knowing the matchups very in depth. I know that's one of the reasons that you perform so well is knowing going into the match, you know who you're playing and what character they're playing, and you know the matchups. How long did it take you to develop that skill and to actually figure out all the different components, and not only that, but how the players play their characters?
There are some unsung heroes in our community, especially in the online community and the emulation community, where there are programmers who made programs that allow us to see the guts of the game, the hitboxes, and the frame data, not on paper, which is different than looking at it in while you're performing the actions. And that stuff helps out a lot. And the way I go about learning a matchup is I will play, a matchup, usually a shorter sets with players, and after playing them, I will reflect upon the match, whether it's a win or a loss. And I tell myself, what can I do to improve in this matchup, and how can I tweak it so that everything is as best as I can do and as perfect as I can get it, whether it be zoning or breaking a player's defense, or even, sneaking in a move that is not conventional, but may win you the round because it might be necessary to land an unsafe move because that can win you the match. That stuff, it needs to be known, and I usually play these shorter sets, and I will practice, and I will try to, kind of like how our players currently use record mode. I would have to play on 2 controllers because on an emulator there is no record mode option. So I would have to grind with I use a stick and a pad at the same time, and I would have to simulate the tactics that a player would do. But as well as I help my fellow community members out to get to that point to where they can even defeat me, and they will have to do ridiculous stuff, and that allows me to see this, and I can as well counter it, and it goes back and forth, and that helps a lot, with the community, and it allows all our players to get stronger. And I believe that this is the best approach to having a really strong competitive player base.
That's obviously been a very long weekend. Congratulations once again on your win. Last but not least, do you have any shout outs or thank you you'd like to give leading out of this event?
Shout outs to my local scene. They did very well. Shout outs to all the players who came to this event to compete. Everybody wants to have a good time and try to win as best as they can. And I respect everybody for coming down here for that. Shout outs to my parents for allowing me to come through, even though I don't have a lot of money and they need help. Shout outs to the Ohio vampire scene for coming down. I have much respect for them. It's a good time always hanging out with them. And shout outs to my Skype group on GGPO and the GGPO vampire scene, and to everybody who gives respect, to the Tiny community, and much respect to all the players of all games. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So.
Thank you once again for letting us crash into your hotel room in the wee hours of the morning, and thanks again.